In a time long past, nestled in a village bathed in golden sunlight, lived 10 young women, 10 virgins, eagerly awaiting a grand celebration. A wedding was to take place, the most anticipated event of the year. The bridegroom, a man of great importance, was expected to arrive, and these 10 were chosen to welcome him, to light his path with their lamps and join the magnificent feast. They were bridesmaids, their hearts fluttering with excitement. The air was thick with anticipation, the scent of wildflowers, and the promise of a night they would never forget. As dusk began to settle, painting the sky in hues of orange and purple, the 10 women gathered their lamps. They were simple clay lamps, but they held the key to the entire evening. Without their light, the path would be dark, and the bridegroom's procession would be lost in shadow. 5 of them were wise. They understood the nature of waiting. They knew that sometimes delays are inevitable. So, with careful foresight, they not only filled their lamps with oil, but also carried extra flasks, their small vessels a testament to their preparedness. They were ready for anything. The other 5, however, were not so thoughtful. They were caught up in the thrill of the moment, the romance of the occasion. They filled their lamps, yes, but that was the extent of their planning. Why worrying about extra oil? The bridegroom would surely be on time. They laughed and chatted, confident that their single measure of oil would be more than enough. They saw the wise virgins with their extra flasks and perhaps thought them overly cautious, even a little foolish for carrying the extra weight. Their minds were on the dancing, the music, and the feast, not on the practicalities of waiting. The sun dipped below the horizon, and a blanket of stars began to appear. The 10 virgins found a comfortable spot along the path where the bridegroom was expected to travel. They lit their lamps, and a warm, inviting glow pushed back the encroaching darkness. 1 hour passed, then 2. The initial excitement began to wane, replaced by a quiet patience. The night grew deeper, the air cooler, the conversation softened to whispers, and soon, the whispers faded into silence. The long wait began to take its toll, and one by one, their heads began to nod. The gentle flicker of their lamps was a soothing sight, and soon, all 10 of them, both the wise and the foolish, drifted off to sleep. The world was still and silent, save for the chirping of crickets and the rustle of leaves in the gentle night breeze. Their lamps continued to burn, dutifully consuming the precious oil, drop by drop. The hours stretched on, long and unnoticed by the sleeping bridesmaids. Time, which had seemed so urgent just hours before, now passed in a slow, silent procession. The moon climbed high into the sky, casting a silver light over the sleeping figures. Everything was peaceful. The delay was far longer than anyone could have imagined. Then, at midnight, when the night was at its darkest and deepest, a sound shattered the silence. A cry echoed through the valley. "He's here! The bridegroom is coming! Go out to meet him!" The shout jolted the 10 women from their sleep. They blinked, disoriented, their hearts pounding in their chests. The moment had finally arrived. They scrambled to their feet, rubbing the sleep from their eyes. Their first instinct was to check their lamps. The flames, which had burned so brightly hours ago, were now flickering weakly, sputtering on the last dregs of oil. Panic began to set in for the 5 foolish virgins. Their lamps were dying, casting long, dancing shadows before threatening to extinguish completely. "Our lamps are going out," one of them cried, her voice trembling. They looked at their wise companions, whose flames were also low. But then, the wise virgins calmly reached for their extra flasks. With steady hands, they began to refill their lamps, and instantly, the flames grew strong and bright again, casting a brilliant, steady light. Desperation filled the eyes of the foolish 5. They turned to the wise, their voices pleading, "Give us some of your oil. Our lamps are nearly gone." They looked from their own sputtering wicks to the bright, confident flames of the others. The contrast was stark and terrifying. The entire purpose of their evening, the honor they had been given, was about to be lost in darkness. All because they hadn't planned ahead. They had assumed the journey would be easy, the wait short. Now, faced with the reality of their short-sightedness, they were filled with regret. The wise virgins looked at them, their faces a mixture of pity and resolve. It wasn't that they didn't want to help. Their hearts ached for their friends, but they knew the truth. "If we share our oil with you," one of them explained gently, but firmly, "there won't be enough for any of us. Our lamps might go out too before we reach the feast. We cannot risk it." It was a hard truth, a painful moment of reality. Preparedness couldn't be shared at the last minute. It was a personal responsibility. They offered the only solution they could. "It's better for you to go to the merchants, to those who sell oil, and buy some for yourselves." The suggestion hung in the air, a sliver of hope, but a desperate one. "Go into the village now, in the middle of the night. Wake up a shopkeeper." It would take time, precious time they didn't have. The bridegroom's procession was already drawing near. The sounds of music and joyful voices could be heard in the distance, getting closer with every passing second. The 5 foolish virgins were faced with a terrible choice. Stay and risk their lamps going out completely, or leave the procession to search for oil, and risk missing the bridegroom's arrival altogether. With a sense of frantic urgency, they chose the latter. They turned and ran, stumbling in the semi-darkness, their hearts pounding with fear and regret. They hurried back toward the village, their footsteps echoing in the silent night, leaving the 5 wise virgins behind. Their only thought was to find oil, no matter the cost, no matter the time. As they disappeared into the night, the bridegroom and his magnificent procession arrived. The path was illuminated by the 5 bright lamps of the wise virgins. The bridegroom saw them, their faces glowing in the warm light, and he smiled. They had been faithful, they had been ready. He beckoned them to join him, and they fell into step with the joyful crowd, their hearts soaring. The doors to the great hall, where the wedding feast was being held, were opened wide. Light and music and laughter spilled out into the night. The 5 wise virgins entered with the bridegroom, and then the doors were shut. The celebration had begun. Sometime later, after a frantic search, the 5 foolish virgins returned. They carried newly purchased oil, their lamps now burning brightly. But they were too late. They arrived at the great hall to find the doors securely closed. They could hear the sounds of celebration from within the music, the laughter, the joy they had so eagerly anticipated. They knocked on the door, their voices filled with desperation. "Sir, sir, open the door for us. Let us in." They waited, their hopes fading with each passing moment of silence from the other side. Finally, a voice came from within, the voice of the bridegroom. But it was not the warm, welcoming voice they had expected. It was firm, distant, and final. He replied, "Truly, I tell you, I do not know you." The words were like a physical blow. He did not know them. In their lack of preparation, they had become strangers. They were left outside, alone in the darkness, with their bright lamps now serving only to illuminate their own sorrow and regret. The feast went on without them. The opportunity was lost forever. This story isn't just about lamps and oil. It's a powerful lesson for all of us. Life is unpredictable. We don't know what tomorrow holds, or when our greatest opportunities or challenges will arrive. Being prepared isn't about fear, it's about wisdom. It's about taking responsibility for our own journey, making sure we have what we need to endure the wait, to shine our light when it's needed most. Whether it's in our faith, our career, our relationships, or our personal growth, the call to be ready is constant. Don't be caught unprepared when your moment arrives. Be wise. Keep your lamp full, and always, always carry a little extra oil. You never know when the call will come at midnight. Thank you for watching. If this story resonated with you, please like, share, and subscribe for more content that aims to inspire and enlighten. Stay prepared and stay blessed.